Hello, Jim, Smoky Lake Maple Products. I just want to go over the Drop Flue Smoky Lake high output pan set. Pictures are good, video is maybe better. There's two of them here, the one that we're looking at and then the one behind it that has hoods on it and the SSR package. The standard front pan is a 3-compartment Crossflow where we draw off on the back. All of our high output pan sets draw off on the back. It's very, very important. Most of your heat is at the back of the front pan. There's no reason to draw off at the front of the pan where there's less heat. Keep in mind that a dial thermometer or an auto draw-off system references density off of temperature. So if your liquid is not fully boiling, there's no way we can actually measure the density of that product. That's the main reason that we're drawing off at the back of these pans. It's very, very important, especially on our competitors' cast iron leaky fronts on their evaporators. Most of those Canadian evaporators, they can't even boil in the front compartment. Why are they drawing off there? I'll never figure that out. I'll never understand that. All of our arches are airtight. We don't build any obsolete evaporators. So we can always get our front compartment to boil, but still there's more heat in the rear compartment. So that's where we draw syrup off. This is a 2-foot wide unit. It's hard to take pictures or videos of a mirror, but there's 10 drop flues, 7 inches deep. All of our evaporators, all of our 2-foot wide evaporators now have 2 dividers in the flue pan. Very, very important. The evaporator we ran last year, there's many videos on it that you might want to see, but we are able to start with raw sap on a 2x4 version of this and be drawing finished syrup off with only 65 gallons of sap boiled. That is because we have 2 dividers in it and it's very high output, very high efficiency. All of our valves are pure stainless steel. We don't do any nickel-plated valves. That's a no-no that you'll see on many of our competitors' evaporators. They'll just take a steel valve and nickel plate it. It's cheap and it's technically not food grade. All of our valves are pure 304 stainless steel. Absolutely food grade all the way through. All of the inlet float boxes on these high output pans are dual port, meaning there's 2 I can't say 2 sap supply lines because one of these ports is just to add stability to the float. Being that these things consume sap so quickly and so efficiently, we need a second port just to stabilize the float. Otherwise, sap is entering the pan so fast that it's not as accurate in keeping its density. Now, all of our pan sets are set up for an auto draw-off system and they're all reversible. That's why there's 2 ports. This is in the position it's in, this is not the draw-off compartment, of course. That's where the sap is flowing from the flue pan into the front pan. Of course, we always have a valve on that transfer pipe so that you can close it off for reversing and cleaning and just to hold your gradient at night when you're shut down. In this case, we have the dial thermometer in the lower port. This is where you'd connect your auto draw-off system, should you ever put an auto draw-off system on. It's good to have both. It's good to have an analog measuring device in addition to your electronic auto draw-off system. The float boxes will always be complete. Regulator, valve, and the float all installed. The drop flue high output pans like this will always have a drain manifold, and it's going to be very hard to capture that from the top. I don't know if you can see the tiny, there's like some 3/4 inch diameter holes in the bottom of all the flues in the back that all connect to a drain manifold where you can drain out the side of the arch. That one doesn't have the valve threaded in, but I have a pan sitting off the arch that we'll look at next. This is essentially the same pan set, except it has a hood set on it and it also has the reversing system. This is the SSR. This has 4 compartments, again Crossflow. We only do Crossflow. Parallel flow is obsolete and nobody should be drawing off at the front of the pan anymore, even though most of our competitors are still doing that. This is the valve assembly that allows us to reverse without actually removing the pan. Never do we have to remove the pan to reverse flow on this system. If you're wondering why you might reverse flow in a front pan, that's covered in some of our other videos, but essentially, like well water, the sap carries minerals. And as you deprive the sap of those minerals, they have to be deposited. The sap, when you take the water away, the minerals must be deposited. And with this system here, when the sap deposits its minerals in the draw-off compartment, which would be either one of these two, we can keep those minerals lifted by reversing. Okay, if we look at, and this is covered in other videos too, but if we look at the diagram here, when the valve positions are like such, the sap will enter this port and finished syrup will exit this port. Always drawing off out of the same port. Keep that in mind. That's very crucial, especially if you had an auto draw-off system. You don't want to have to be moving your auto draw-off valve from one point to another. So in our reversing system, your auto draw-off system can always be mounted here. That never has to change. Okay, so now let's just say we want to reverse flow. Look at the arrows here. Turn this valve to that position, this valve to that position, and now in that position, look at the handle locations. Sap will enter this port, finished syrup will exit this port. It's well worth the money, especially for people who do have a lot of sugar sand, which this year that was us. We happened to run one of our evaporators without the reversing system, and it sure would have been convenient for us. On the same side reversing system, that kicks the float box over to the opposite corner, of course. Again, two dividers. In this position, in this pan here, the sap will move forward around the first divider, back around the second divider, and back forward again, where it's transferred into the front pan. And that transfer, as you can see, takes place right here. And again, you can close off with this valve here, you can close off the flow to the front pan if you do want to close it off to remove. That's just a cross pipe that makes the whole system work. Now here, we have a smaller version of these pans. So you can see the 10 drop flues, 7 inches deep. Here's the drain manifold that I had mentioned. That is the pipe. This here is the pipe that penetrates through the arch and allows you to drain the flue pan completely. Again, all pure stainless steel valves. There's no other SSR. There's no other reversing system like our SSR. There's no other valves available like that. Those are actually cast and machined just for our company. They're not even available to anyone else. I hope you enjoy the video and look for our many other videos that cover our evaporators, even some of them running our evaporators. And we'll do another video on raised flues too. I sure appreciate it, and keep in touch. This is what it boils down to.